Hey, what's going on, guys? Here's the entry grade Gundam, and it may look a little bit strange, this packaging, because this is a kind of special packaging release that they put out. They put out two different versions like this of the entry grade Gundam. This one is in a kind of metallic, kind of gloss kind of finish, I think, for this one. And then there's another one that's in like kind of Christmas colors, like red and green kind of Christmas colors. Basically, these are supposed to be sort of like gift sets that you can get, and with the regular release, at least in Japan, not coming out of this kit until next month, December, I wanted to get my hands on it a little bit sooner, and I think you guys in the States already can get it just as the regular release in like the regular box, but this was at least a way for me to get it a little bit sooner, I think, and so I just thought I'd go ahead and check out this version of the entry grade Gundam. And the other great thing about this is that this comes with obviously this kind of special tub, which features like the artwork of the Master Grade 3.0 Gundam on there. And then it also has some like snacks in here, so I figure I'll give the snacks to my kids, give the tub to my kids, they can use it for putting their toys in, whatever, and then I'll just review the kit, and then we'll do what we're going to do with the kit here on the channel for you guys. But let's just go ahead and check this out here. So you got this kind of like plastic bow thing here at the top. Alright, once you get that off, so yeah, like I said, you got the artwork of the Gundam there, and then on the other side, around over here, just advertisement for Gunpla, just some of the other lines in the Gunpla line. RE100 line on there, so maybe it's not dead. And then the entry grade Gundam, so there's just a picture of that. So I think we do have a kind of handle on here. No, that's all? Okay, so inside you got our Gundam and the snacks. So I won't do any snack review. These are corn potato flavored snacks. They're fine, they're well enough. I'm sure my kids will enjoy eating these, so I'll give those to them. Let's go ahead and take a look at our Gundam runners here. So here's our instructions for the kit, and I'm guessing probably for the regular kit the instructions are going to be pretty much the same, but it does look like this photograph here on the front. Oh yeah, it does say, it says this is for the metallic color, so you can see this is specifically a photograph of the metallic color version of this, but otherwise I'm guessing the manual is going to be pretty much the same. Now if you guys are unfamiliar, haven't seen anything about the entry grade yet, it's basically using the easy construction kind of technology that they did with the 30 minutes missions kits, as well as things like the Leo and the Death Army HG kits, where the runners are separated, where like all the runners for one section of the body are located in one section on the runners, like all your waist parts here, all your body parts here, I'm not actually correct in these sections, but you get what I mean, all the leg parts here, all the arm parts here. So I guess that's like somewhat convenient. It really doesn't matter for any particular reason, but there is also our parts list as well, and then it's just on into the construction. So you got that on there on our color page back here, finishing up the shield and mounting the shield. And then here's some stuff. Have a close look at the Gundam, make it, and have fun here. So here's just some basic Gunpla information. What is Gundam? What is Gunpla? So with this being sort of like a gift set, is some great like kind of background information for people if you're getting this for someone who's not ever built any Gunpla before. Pretty cool set. And then just try adding panel lining. It's got over here, so just a little bit about that as well too. For our four runners here, we've got runners A1 and A2. A1 with these parts, the yellow, what would be yellow on the regular kit, are here in kind of molded gold. That looks pretty interesting. The blue is in the gold metallic blue. The kind of frame and backpack parts are in this gunmetal-y kind of color. And then the red parts are in a metallic red. That is continued on here to runner A3 and A4. So kind of interesting why they lettered these A3 and A4. Why they separated it so much. Why not just A1 and like this is A2? But anyway, I'm not sure. But there's one more yellow piece, a few more red pieces on here, then some more gunmetal pieces. And then runners B1, 2, 3, 4 are all of our white pieces, which are in a kind of metallic-y white. It's not really all that visible. But I don't know, hopefully if you look up close you guys can see that's sort of like a pearl kind of metallic finish on these white parts. You'll obviously have some masking and painting to do to fill in that section there on the back of the shield. But otherwise there's all the parts for the head, and then this is like with the Beyond Global, the head is just one solid piece, so you won't have any seam line on the head. That's cool. And there's our parts for the arms and legs as well too. So let me go ahead and get our entry grade Gundam all put together. It should be pretty quick, obviously not a whole lot of parts there and a pretty simple build. That's the whole point of the kit. So let me do that and then we'll see how it looks. Alright guys, so here it is all built up, and I gotta say, I'm never really one that's been too big of a fan of metallic colors, so I don't really particularly care for that aspect of this particular version of the kit, but just imagine this review as a review of the entry grade Gundam in general. and I don't really care for those metallic colors. But like I said, I wanted to try to get my hands on it a little bit sooner, and this was a way to do that. So ultimately, out of the box, I mean, I've been hearing a lot of really great things about this kit. Just the looks of it, just straight out of the box, not very impressive. And obviously, this is the metallic version, so the regular version probably maybe looking, you know, a little bit better or worse depending on how much you like metallic colors. But not even really the colors, just the general shape and details and everything. And you know, I'm not really that impressed with it. Again, this kit only costs like $5 essentially, $5, $6, $7 like that. So for the price, yeah, it's pretty great. But is it definitely the best version of the 1/44 scale Gundam that you can get out there? I'm gonna say I don't think so. But let's go ahead and check it out anyway. So as for any accessories or what you get with this kit, basically what you see here, that's what you get. You have no other further accessories for this, no other alternate hand options aside from these two that it's got on there. Holding hand, which is very specifically meant to hold onto this handle for the shield, and this holding hand over here, which is meant to hold onto this beam rifle. Now you do have the beam saber handles up here on the backpack, and those can be removed, but you've got no beam saber effect parts for those. I mean, for just a very kind of standard RX-78-2 kit, it pretty much comes with everything you would expect. Really, there's nothing else too much really for that, other than just the beam saber effect parts. And I mean, if you've been building Gunpla for a while, you undoubtedly have some extra 1/44 scale beam saber effect parts that you could use if you've got some extras lying around, and you probably do. So those will just fit into there like normal. So as for our beam saber here, it's just all molded in one color, so you'll definitely have to paint that little camera bit in. You will have a seam line all the way down the top part of that. Overall, the design is kind of okay. It's very thin as well too, so it just kind of gives off that more cheaper look with it being so thin, I think. So I'm not really too much into this really. You can see here your beam saber handle will fit into the hand just right like that, so that works out well enough. Our shield here over on the other side, we can get some nice color separation with the cross in there and everything. This just plugs onto the side of the arm as well as holding in the hand there. The handle of this is like with the Beyond Global Gundam, where you can remove that and then just turn it and put it back in like that for its collapsed form for when this is plugged onto the backpack. So it does plug onto the backpack there. It's generally supposed to be at an angle like that, right? And also, speaking of the backpack, like with the Beyond Global Gundam, the thruster bells are molded into the backpack, so it's just all one piece there, and then the two beam saber handles, obviously. But so those you'll have to either cut out that little bit on the side there to make those look a little bit nicer, and just mask and paint those if you wanted to have them in a separate color or something like that. So the backpack in general, very simple, very basic looking. And down here at the crotch too, I'm not really sure what this gap in there is supposed to be. Obviously, for plugging it onto an action base, you have just a standard hole up underneath there, but this gap just kind of doesn't really seem to be there for any particular reason other than just to save the part count, to make the part count less. They had to leave a little gap in there like that, so that's kind of a shame, but we got nice color separation with these yellow block pieces there, and also the little V in the center of the crotch there. Like, again, with the Beyond Global Gundam, it's one of the very few RX-78-2s that you can get in 1/44 scale that has that little V in the crotch as an actual separate piece. And overall, I mean, the color separation is pretty good. You have a separate piece for the red in the face, for under the eyes and the chin, and then the red yellow piece for the eyes is a separate piece, so no sticker there. The red for the head camera and the jewel on the front of the head is all molded as one piece, so you might want to mold or mask or just paint a little bit of something in there between those so it doesn't look like all just one big solid piece there. Obviously not going to have any red for the camera at the back of the head, so you have to paint that in or something if you care to do so. And as for the seam lines, it's pretty much seam line-less for the most part. Like I said, the head doesn't have any seam line except for a little bit there, like between the front and back half of the very top part of the head camera part section like there, but it's kind of meant to look like just a panel line there, so you're kind of alright with that. And the same thing like with the shoulder armor, it's just one solid piece, so no seam line there. That's another usual commonplace for 1/44 scale kits to have seams. On the forearm also, it's molded as a detail there, so that's already hidden for you, thanks Bandai. Then going here down to the legs, the front and back half of the thigh fit together to make this line there that just looks like a kind of normal panel line there, and it's only really once you get down here to the lower legs where you have this massive seam. So going from the bottom of the knee down to the bottom of the lower leg, a seam there, and on the back side a seam all the way down the back side of the leg. So it's not really going to be one that's very difficult to get rid of, and you don't have to worry about your joints as well too, because let me just take this apart to show you. This is just one section and then the knee comes off, so it's just these two pieces, and all you just need to do is just lay some glue in there, sand that down, and easy enough to get rid of that one single problematic seam line on this, and you can just put it back on your kit like no, it's not any problem at all. The one thing I don't really like about the color separation in the eyes though is that there's like a small gap. The eyepiece seems to almost be kind of like floating in there, and I guess like under like the right lighting or something it might help to kind of like create a shadow around the eyes, and that might look good. But if it's well lit or something, it looks a bit strange, like the eyepiece is not in there correctly or something, and it makes this kind of weird gap between the red part and the yellow part up inside. They're going to be hard for you guys to see, but trust me, if you're looking at the kit in person and looking at it up close, it looks a bit strange. But let's go ahead and get into the articulation. So the neck, just your standard kind of double ball joint. And again, if you guys didn't notice, there's no polycaps in this kit, so that's cool. The head articulation going up is really nice. That'll go really nice and far up like that, down to there. It's good articulation there. Forward and back movement here at the shoulders is gonna be pretty non-existent, so unfortunately don't really have a whole lot going there for that. I guess you can kind of like rotate the arm forward a little bit, but upward movement is going to be pretty unhindered as you have a full upward bend there, which is pretty amazing. Rotation there at the arm. You got a joint here at the elbow, which is going to give you more than 90 degrees, but still just a single joint, so it's going to be just like only up to there. The wrist is just on a ball joint. The hands are just molded as one solid piece, so if you wanted the back of the hand to be a separate color, then you would have to mask and paint that if you want to do that. Our torso articulation is quite nice here. You have a really nice stomach bend there, or ab crunch, I guess is what it's called, right? Also can go back a little bit there, side to side. You got some nice movement here, so and then some rotation there. So as far as the articulation here in the ab section, it definitely seems like it's kind of taking what Bandai's been doing recently with 30 minutes missions kits, and then also just recent HG kits, like again, like the Leo and other even HGUC kits, the way that the ab crunch articulation is designed into the torso section there. You can clip those apart if you want to, or just keep them together. Side skirts are just on ball joints, so they're only going to be able to come up to about there, meaning your leg can still come out to pretty far to the side though, so those really shouldn't get in the way too much. The back skirts, those are just fixed in place there. And ultimately, you can bring the leg up pretty high, get a nice double bend there in the knee for a full bend, but no separation of the knee armor, unfortunately. The ankle will bend side to side really nicely. This ankle armor actually plugs in at the front of the ankle joint here, so right on that little ball joint there. So forward bend like that, you've got this nice separation of the foot like we've seen like with a lot of HGUC kits for a long time. And then back to there like that, so really nice up and down movement there for that as well. And then up underneath the feet, you got some nice detail, but a little bit of hollow gap up there underneath the toe. And here is compared to the Revive kit, which I think is probably, in all fairness, the best kit to compare it to, because the Beyond Global, the Origin, even the G40 version, if you want to compare it to that, those are all much more expensive versions. The Revive version is not that much different in its price. It's just a few hundred yen more expensive. And while mine currently is missing the jewel on the front of its head and its beam saber handles there off the backpack, I still think that the Revive is a better looking version of the kit. The details and the general proportions and everything, the joints especially, I think look a lot better on the Revive version. Yeah, it doesn't have the color separation of the V at the front of the crotch. That's one small thing. But what it does have is the addition of actual beam effect parts and a bazooka in there, which the entry grade kit of course does not include. Then the Revive kit also doesn't have those seams in the leg as well too, so ultimately if you want to like the dirt cheapest version of the RX-78-2, that's going to be still a pretty good kit, better than like the old 1/44 scale non-grade kit or something like that, then the entry grade kit is good. But if you wanted something that's cheap, but also I think giving you the best bang for your buck, I still think the Revive kit is still better. So at the end of the day, for a kit like this, here is the basic pros and cons. The pros, it's extremely cheap. The articulation is pretty great. The color separation is pretty great, especially considering the price. And I think the pros just really kind of end there, to be honest. I mean, and then just getting into the cons, I mean, it doesn't have the bazooka and the beam saber effect parts, both of which, you know, not super necessary if you just want like a really simple, cheap version of the RX-78-2, but those would have been nice additions. Any other hand options maybe would have been nice as well too, but again, for what you're buying with this kit, it's not really surprising that you didn't really get any other hand options. The fact that it's got that massive seam line on the legs, not great, but again, for the price, not that big a deal. Then just the general design and details of the kit. Like I said at the start, I'm not really so into the general design and proportions of this version of the RX-78-2. I think it's generally fine and it looks like how it's supposed to look, but it's just not the most attractive version of RX-78-2 in my opinion, especially in the joints areas as well too. Those are also just kind of ugly looking, so ultimately, I think with this kit, for the price, it's fantastic. If you wanted a great RX-78-2 kit, this is not really the one for you. Ultimately, I think just the Revive kit's much better. The Beyond Global, if you like the design of it, is a really great kit as well too. The Origins version is probably going to be my personal favorite 1/144 scale version of the RX-78-2, albeit that's the Origins version, slightly different version of course, but as far as RX-78-2s go in 1/44 scale, I love the Origin version. The articulation and the details, especially on that thing, are great. I think it's the best looking kit out of the bunch, but like I said, said, if you want something dirt cheap, then this is a good option for you guys to check out. So if you guys have any other further questions or comments about this, of course, do feel free to leave those down below. And you can check out the RX-78-2 in its many different versions and everything else there at USA Gundam Store. We've got the link down in the video description below, and my coupon code there. You can save 10% off everything there on the site as well too. So check that out down in the video description. And until next time, guys, hope you're all having a great day. I'll see y'all later. Thank you so much for your support. Bye bye, guys.